A few years ago, we purchased a roof rack for the car. I got Thule risers, but I bought the store brand crossbars. And the problem with that is that the Thule end caps did not fit them. The main reason you need end caps on your cross rails is that they whistle when you drive, and it gets louder the faster you go. It's kind of frustrating, so I thought I could do better by printing my own 3D end caps. So here I am, taking off the tape. The problem with this crossbar is that it has this element in the middle that runs down the length, and the Thule crossbars do not. And here you can see the Thule end cap that I've tried to modify, but it just didn't really work. So the first step was to take measurements of the crossbar. And then I made a rough sketch of just the cross-section of the piece. I wasn't that concerned with making a pretty drawing, as I was going to do the design work in a Fusion 360. The problem is that I hadn't used Fusion 360 for about 10 months, and I'm still pretty new anyways, so the process took longer than I expected. So this is a basic shape of the end cap. It's basically a hollow box. I've already made my first mistake, which is to make the walls too thin at only 1mm thick, and that will come to haunt me later. So now the shape is taken on close to its final form with the rounded edges and corners, so it looks pretty good. The next step is to add the internal tabs to hold it into place. So I've added these 6 tabs, which will help hold the cap in place on the end of the crossbar, and the tabs actually extend about 1/4 of an inch beyond the lower edge of the cap. And at this point, I'm starting to think that I've under-engineered the piece, but I'm going to go ahead and just see what happens. You never know, it might work. But to make things more complicated for myself, I decided to put a logo on the end of the cap, and it took a little while to figure out, but we'll see. And here's the final design. It actually looks pretty good. But now it's time to put into Cura to be sliced for printing. When positioning the piece in Cura, I decided to print it right side up, so the outer surface will be pointing up and the tabs are pointing down. This isn't such a great idea because there's going to be a lot of support material inside the end cap that I will have to pry out. And then it's off to the printer. So after a few hours it's done, and it comes off the printing surface pretty easily, but then it literally falls apart. All the support material takes out the tabs, and the piece itself falls apart. There's a lot of poor adhesion in the layering. This has to do not just with the thinness of the shell itself, but also humidity in the air that day. But it wasn't a total loss. I was at least able to check the fit of the piece over the cross rail. So the next step was to redesign my piece. Again, a very quick sketch. The first thing I did was to thicken up all the walls to 2mm, and the internal tabs were completely redesigned. And here you can see the new internal layout of the piece. It's going to be much stronger, and I think will be much more successful. And of course, a new logo. Oh, also note that the tabs no longer extend beyond the base of the end cap. In fact, what I've done is I've made the end cap longer so it matches the length of the tabs. And now we're printing. This time round, I am printing the top first. This eliminates any support structure inside the piece. This print took a few tries, as it was actually very humid weather, and even though I dried the PLA for 24 hours beforehand, it still managed to suck up a lot of moisture. In fact, I had to wait till the humidity went away before I got a successful print. So this print came off in one piece and actually looks pretty good, but it's a bit tight when you try and put it on the crossbar. And you can see where the crossbar has scraped into the plastic when I try pushing it on. All I have to do is just make some minor changes to the interior structure and it should fit. So you can see all I had to do was shave down some of the internal structure. And back to printing. That came off really easily and it looks really good. Here you can see the cleaned up internal structure. And going to the crossbar, it fits on really nicely. And all I had to do was print 3 more. And no more whistling.